What's your service? This is an odd question, perhaps, but in the interest of making an income, making a living, there is a worthwhile. It would be worth your while to think about this and to really think like, well, what am I providing? And this comes from both the separation. Like I had a conversation with an art director, and he called all illustration, concept art. He called it service art, and it made me think quite a lot about, well, what am I providing? Because as it stands for me personally, my portfolio is a collection of personal experiments that are primarily made for my own sake, and then of course it can be quite hard to fit me into a pipeline that requires, well, you could call it a lack of personality, that everything fits into this larger scope. Because companies aren't that interested in people who are all over the place. They want people that they can neatly place along the line of, we need to get this thing done, which is honestly a completely fair thing to want for your thing, right? That you want, if you want to invest money into people, you want them to provide something that you can use to, in the case of that, make even more money. Uh, and so thinking about what your service helps you to navigate your artwork. For instance, say you're making personal work or you're making studies because you want to improve. There is, and you can buy into social media much better if you make it into fan art, right? You just change a very little thing about it, and you are now providing a service of the artwork that people who are fans of this series can relate to, and they will probably enjoy quite a lot. David Poser was the artist who I heard say this, and he was like, "If you're just drawing some dude, why not just turn it into Zelda?" Uh, because that will give you much more traction on social medias. If you're just working to gain traction on platforms, that's definitely a way to go. But that's also to not be mad when you're painting or drawing that has little connection with your crowd, doesn't get as much attention to something that you think has much less skill than the thing that you are providing, but it gets a lot more attention, and that is usually because that skill that you are dismissing is relevant to a group of people who are more interested in the thing being depicted rather than the end result of the skill on display. And this is a very important thing to remember, that you can get by with very little ability, but you need to know in which direction you're getting by in. And so think about what's your service, what am I providing to be worth listening to be worth following. And for me, what I'm doing now is I'm changing it up, because I have a lot of things that I'm keeping private, and I feel like a complete idiot after the conversation with the art director, because I have never told anyone I know all these things. And so for me, I need to make it known that I want to do this, because else I'm just quite masturbatorily alone in these woods and in this farmland, and like doing nothing, hoping that people will invite me to the party because I'm exciting. But if I never let it known that I have these abilities in any capacity, then why would anyone want me to participate? And that's really important to think about, this idea of, well, what are you providing? But also to yourself. And when you're making artwork that has a personal nature, then make it a personal nature, not just fake it into being another piece for your portfolio to hopefully get a job doing VFX pre-visualization work, if that's the if that's what you want to do. If you want to make personal paintings that are for your own sake, you have to think about, well, what is my own sake? And that sake can be working towards making money. And honestly, until you are secure in funding in some capacity, or you have a generous patron to help you get by, then that is probably your priority. And then I think that there is no shame in providing a service that people find useful, rather than complain about, like that you're not getting any attention at all, because you're not providing anything that people who are just passing by would actually want to look at, So really think about, well, what is your service? Okay, I'm in standing low in like a big white horse stance because this tripod is too low. But I really like this comp. I mean, I love living here. So thanks for listening.